By the way, something I think everyone should do is, since the manuals are online, go online and print out your manual. Bring this to the field with you. Bring this wherever you go. I just carry it around in the carrying case since it's not that bad, and I put, you know, the Allen key set in there. I put extra parts I have for it, and I have room for it in my gear bag, and I just bring this to the field. That way I have everything I need for it, and I print out the manual. The other good resource there is, I think it's called KillTech software or something like that. You can buy, or it might even be free, for your Android and iPhone. They have paintball manuals, and you can download manuals off of there. I think it costs like $1 or $2 for the app, but then you download the manuals for free, and it's right there on your phone. You don't even have to have an internet connection. It actually downloads right to the phone. If you select it to, you hit like save to favorites or download or something, and it does just that. So, but as you can see here, I actually printed up a manual as well for myself, and I think everybody should do that. And like I said, with it I keep this Allen key, I keep the pressure tester in there, and I keep, you know, O-rings and extra parts for it. That way I'm always prepared. So anyways, here we go with reassembly. First off, I actually already put the poppet in there. Obviously the white end should be facing out, and I just kind of shoved it in there pretty much all the way. And what you do with the spring is, this is where I think I had problems. I think I put it on the poppet side. I'm pretty sure that might have been my problem. Anyways, the small side actually plugs back into the poppet. You can actually take it out, and actually I'll show you real quick. Here's actually the standard poppet right here. This is an extra head in here for the new poppet I got. But this is the standard poppet. As you can see, it's actually made out of brass. The original one's kind of like a stainless steel, I think. And actually, on my comparison video, the stainless steel one was actually lighter, to my surprise. But anyways, as you can see, it actually fits in the bottom of the spring. It's pretty obvious when you try to put it the opposite way in. It's a mess. So don't even try it that way. It's just common sense, and you should read your manual if you are unsure. Or you can call Bob Long. And anyway, so you stick there's actually ridges on the very inside of here on the LPR bottom chamber. You're not going to be able to see them, but for the spring, so you put the wide part in here, like this. And after inspecting the O-rings and all that good stuff in here, you know, on either side of the body, all the O-rings I think are on this side, the main side, the back side. But you still just want to make sure, like I have some lube caked on here. I just leave it there. Maybe I'll spread it around on the surface it's already on. So, but anyways, the spring should be in the right place. It shouldn't be able to move anywhere but straight back. And you should try to keep it as straight as possible. And when you're putting the body together, look to make sure that the side of the spring that's supposed to go on the poppet kind of coils around the poppet. And just make sure everything lines up. Shove it together. Next thing, you're probably going to have to hold the body together. You may or may not. And I like to do this one because this one's probably the easiest to put in. So while you're holding it, you just kind of hand tighten it. You can use an Allen key if you want, but I prefer to do things by hand. And make sure it goes in right too, because obviously you don't want to miss thread or whatever, because this is, you don't want to replace either of these parts for a freaking, you know, stupid little misthread problem. And this will also make sure that you have the body halves together right. It shouldn't go in right unless you have the body halves together right. You can't really hand thread it very far. It's kind of small. Unless you can get good grip on it, but whatever. Go ahead and screw that in. And I don't tighten it like super tight down just yet, because I noticed if you do, the top actually kind of spreads apart a little bit, just like with anything else, with uneven pressure. So I make it firm but not tight just yet. I will go back and retighten it. But and then again, you still don't want to freaking cram it on there, you know, never be able to get it off. So next thing we'll probably go for, I guess, here is the 2 side screws here that go in right by the eye covers. And if you can, I'm not going to. But if you can, you know, try to maybe hand thread them, but be careful again, you don't want to scratch the paint because they are ridged on the ends. So if you go and try to hand screw them in, you might mess up the paint right under where they screw into. And I have noticed that this, because I have made my share of mistakes, this is obviously the first gun that has ever been out that comes apart quite like this. I'll come back and tighten it up, because these definitely need to be tight on there. Definitely tight. And in fact, this Allen key is horrible for that. In fact, before I actually air it up again, I will go back down and tighten it with like a long Allen key that's made for this, because I really can't tighten it down with these Allen keys, because I'm actually using the ball tip to screw them in. And you can't really put down a lot of pressure, and if you remember, I actually said it in this video already, if you you got to be careful with the ball tip ones, because you can actually take the ball tip off, and yeah, that'll ruin a nice set of Allen keys. So, and then obviously without the ball tip, this particular Allen key set for me, at least on this gun, would be useless. Probably the next easiest thing to do would go ahead and put on the eye stuff. By the way, let me see if you can. Yeah, the eye boards are actually particular to each side, so with that in mind, you can't really do it. So anyways, you want to go ahead and connect the eye board. Then you want to find the tiny Phillips head screw. And like I said in the first part, there's 2 holes in the eye board here. I don't know if you can see that. In those 2 holes there, you want to use the top one. You want to use the top screw to hold down the eye board with this tiny Phillips head screw. The bottom hole is for the actual eye cover. When you screw that on, that has nothing to do with the 4C eyes. There's a whole different hole in there for the 4C eyes. So you go ahead and now these don't have to be torqued down. I always just snug them. You're never really supposed to torque these down, especially with the 4C eyes. And go ahead and do this on the other side as well. Next, we'll probably go ahead and put in the detents. So you put in the detent, and you want to do one side at a time, obviously, because you got to put the detent, then you got to put the spring in, and the spring obviously just goes in the little hole in the detent. And then take your eye cover. I know eye cover placement can be a little bit tricky with this gun. I've never had eye covers that are able to move around so much. As you notice, the eye covers actually stick completely out. There's not really much groove for them to go into. So I take the screw out, I kind of fit the eye cover into place. You kind of got to feel it out a little bit, and you obviously have to be pressing down on it at all times, or otherwise it'll come back out due to the spring. And you just go ahead and start screwing it in. You can actually let the eye cover stay up and just until you torque it down. This particular Allen key is bent, so I was thinking that might be a little easier to do. I don't know if you can see that. I actually bent this Allen key. I'm trying to think what I was doing. I think I was taking apart an old Impulse. This is a really old Allen key set too. I think I was taking apart an Impulse and there was a screw stuck. And I actually bent the Allen key on the long side too. So anyways, you want to put a decent amount. You don't have to really torque down the eye covers either. You know, you just want to put a decent amount of force on it, not a lot. So that's something to keep in mind pretty much with any gun is, if it's a tiny screw, try to keep the pressure off of it, because they strip very easy, and you know, those are the most pain in the ass to deal with, especially on a paintball gun. That's like the worst place to have it happen, because to use one of the drill bits to get a screw out, you'll probably end up scratching your gun. If you can even use it in the first place, because the screws are so tiny. It's just a bad thing. So actually, believe it or not, getting new screws for your paintball gun, I would consider that a part of preventative maintenance, especially if you enjoy having a nice anno on your gun. Now, since I'm about to, before I forget, I'm about to put the RAM back in, and I figure I'll go ahead and go over this with the bolt. There's really only 2 lubricants you're supposed to use on this gun. There's Tri-Flow, and this only goes on the bolt. You only need a drop per O-ring. Now you can use other stuff like Planet Eclipse gun oil. That's good stuff. I think it's all synthetic. And you can use stuff like the Gold Cup that you know probably been using on your Spider for years if you've been in the sport. I have some really old shit of that, but Tri-Flow, it's amazing stuff. I always go with what the manufacturer says, or at least I try. I mean, as long as it's not like some, you know, oil that only works for that gun and it's like 20 bucks or something, you know what I'm saying? Kind of proprietary oils and stuff that are outrageously priced, especially if I'm not going to have the gun for that long. But you're only supposed to put a drop of oil per O-ring, and you just kind of rub it on the O-ring, and then any excess I just rub on the bolt. I'll do that in a minute. But so this goes on the bolt, and then this goes everywhere else. So I have a big ass thing of it because it's from my mark. It's Dow 55. I suggest you just buy a big old thing of this This is also good stuff. It's what Bob Long pretty much uses in most of the mark parts as well. So we'll go ahead and put back in the ram, and I gotta lube it up anyways. So here we go. Usually what I do is I'm not even very scientific about it. I know a lot of people are. So my ram's pretty dry for some reason. I could have sworn I just oiled it earlier, or lubed it. I call this stuff lube. And you just kind of put some around the O-rings with one finger. Oops, a little too much. And then what I do is I put the excess, you know, I use different fingers to rub it around the O-rings just like this. And then just, you know, kind of put the excess around the ram. You don't want a lot of excess on the ram. If there's too much, just wipe it off, because it'll actually make the performance of your gun worse, believe it or not. Okay? And go ahead and put your ram back in. Small side goes in. Big side stays out. And you can even put a little excess back here on the ram cap too. If you still have some left on your fingers. And a small O-ring that goes around there. Again, not too much. And again, be careful when putting it in. Make sure the O-ring is not catching on the sides. It should. Sometimes it almost feel like it kind of just... It feels right. That's the best way to put it. It feels right. That is sounds kind of corny, but you'll know what I'm talking about, especially after you take it apart a few times. I'm just wiping some excess lube off me. So, anyways, there's some other parts that need this, but the ram's what needs it the most often. And then you go ahead and just put your ram screw in. I don't know why they went with a actual screw like this. They used to just have the back caps you can take off by hand. I don't know what the deal with that is. There's no adjustable ram cap either. I guess they never really did come stock like that from Bob Long. Alright, and so we got the ram on. Next best thing to probably put on back is the feed neck. And make sure it's all the way down. Push it down as far as you can. Make sure the screw's loose on it when you do it. Don't want to scratch up your feed neck and want to make sure you have it on right. Usually what I like to do is I take the back line in the feed neck where the feed neck actually separates, and I kind of try to line that up with the very center back of the gun so it kind of looks right. And then we go ahead and torque down our bottom screw. Trying to do this so you guys can see it, but my tripod's being a bitch and the light isn't really helping. Next I'll go ahead and probably just screw on the regulators. HPR screws on very nice. I'm obviously not breaking that down right now. Maybe I will in a future video. This video is probably long enough. LPR, screw that back in, pretty easy. Next, since I got the bolt, we'll go ahead and I'll Tri-Flow it for you. I don't know why this is dry again already. Maybe I'm doing one drop. That was actually a little much. It's very easy to come out. This is actually a new bottle, but this stuff's amazing, especially for those of you out there that have like minis and especially high pressure tanks. They're a little bit harder to screw in and out. Dude, this thing is amazing. I used it on my Spider shutter. It's a classic one. I mean, this is probably like a late 90s, maybe early 2000, 2001 gun, and That ASA obviously isn't on-off. Spider has proprietary parts, at least they did back then. so I have to use it. But Tri-Flow, man, they really made the difference. I mean, it was quite amazing, the transformation it made. And anyways, go ahead and wipe off the excess. I just wipe it off on my fingers on the back of the bolt or on the bolt pin. Line the bolt up with the ram. It's probably like right here. And as you can now see, watch when I'm actually pushing the bolt from the inside. See how it's actually spring driven? I guess I got the spring in there right this time. It's moving how it should. Alright. So hopefully that helps you guys out there. I know a lot of the rebuild videos don't disassembly videos don't rebuild it, so hopefully that helps you out there. Plus I put a bunch of helpful tips that I've gotten over the years. I've actually gotten tech certified. They used to have little tech classes for paintball way back in the day, and when I was one of the younger guys that actually got certified. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the G6R. G6R 12. Don't think it really makes a difference at this point. So, hope that helps. Thanks for tuning in.